Motherfucker, I've been mortified, 45, feeling like a Mordecai. I ain't regular, feel like Jordan wearing 45. Traumatized, victimized, seeing some of my die. Knock you off a base with a bat when them slide. Homicide, genocide, televised, emphasize, perpetuating war to that nigga.
JJ, do you like Star Wars or Star Trek or Lord of the Rings or?
Me?
Yeah.
All right, so Lord of the Rings is okay, but I do like high fantasy. Lord of the Rings, I think, was a little bit too much walking, but I think that I'm starting to get into a weird spot in my own soul. I've never been a Dungeons and Dragons kind of guy, but I think I can do it. I think, honestly, I've never wanted to do it so much before in my life until this moment. Now, Star Wars and Star Trek, I think that I love both. But I think I'm Star Trek over Star Wars. And it's because of the philosophies that you get because the other one is more just like popcorn movie, kind of a Dune ripoff, kind of, you know, like in its best moments, it's Dune, right?
Are you insulting Star Wars?
No, because Dune is awesome.
Yeah, Dune is.
Dune is amazing. And I love the books. I love the books of Dune. Like I'm really about it. But Star Wars is that, right? That's George Lucas basically creating his version of Dune.
Yeah.
And
you're right.
He adds in a little extra hero's journey into it, a little bit of like Eastern philosophies into it. It's good. It's not bad. I do really enjoy the first 3 movies are awesome. And as I've grown up, I think I enjoy the prequels a little bit more. And then what is it? The Force Awakens. I watched that like 5 times in theater.
Really?
Yeah, because I really like movies. So I watched it in like the 40.
Yeah.
I watched it in the XD where it's like extra long. I watched it in IMAX, 770 millimeter, and then I watched it in 3D.
Oh, okay.
So I'm a part of the reason why that movie made way too much money. And it hit all the spots that I think I liked of Star Wars, you know. But me personally, I think that the fandom has kind of ruined what Star Wars is. Like every time I'm like I like Last Jedi a lot. I thought that was a pretty good movie and a very creative concept of like the Force is for anyone. Like you don't have to be a Skywalker. You could just be whatever. And then the other movie is just they finished it up and like, nah, everything. and there's a weird like metaphor in there. And this is all spoilery. But in that last one, C-3PO lost his memory of that second movie. Like, okay, so legit, rewatch it, and then he, like, the little dude that fucking fixes him, but part of his memory is missing, and it's the whole time frame for the second movie.
Oh, Babu Freak. Okay, yeah.
Literally, that second movie and CP3O's mind is gone. That's how much, like, it's like the fandom and the toxicness of it really attacked it. Right, but if you look at Star Trek, first Star Trek it's good. It did some creative things, especially with like a white and a black person kissing on television, which is like people don't understand how big of a deal that is, but it's a huge deal. But then the Next Generation was freaking phenomenal.
Picard,
And every story was great. When the Borg came out, you're like, holy shit. Voyager, amazing. Deep Space Nine, which is less of a Star Trek because he's not really a captain. He's more of like a station manager. But even then, that's awesome, right? There's so many different things, right? Now, this is where I go into my own toxic-y whatever, is I won't really watch any of the new stuff.
Really?
And because they made the Klingons look dumb. And then I guess they try to retcon that, but they already did it, and I don't really like the movies. Like the
new movies?
The new movies, I don't really like those. But I am a huge fan of the original second movie. The one with Khan.
Wrath of Khan. Yeah.
It's so good. And the actor in that is the same voice actor as the as Dr. Freeze from the Batman animated series. So everything he says, you're like, tell me more. Tell me more. It's so good. And you really got me into a full spin.
Yep. Yeah, I was gonna say stuff, but you're like, D&D. I play D&D now. I have a group here. We play. Yeah, it's fun, but it takes forever. Like, first time we did it, we started at like 6 p.m. and then we went to like 1 a.m. Right. Second time was like, let's start earlier. We started at like 4 p.m. and then we still went to 1 a.m. And then next time we started early, it was 3 p.m. and then we still went to 1 a.m.
Jeez, that's crazy. That's honestly, I love board games, but that's part of like what pulls me away. It's like I don't, and it's always at night. Always at night, and I'm like, guys, I get sleepy.
If you just stick to the main quest, it shouldn't take that long. But we go off and do things. One of our things is after our first session, we're like, we want to loot that ring shop. We're going to burn that ring shop down. So she had to make a whole arc for the ring shop. And that took like, the whole thing took like an hour and a half to do.
Yes.
But that's D&D. And then Star Wars, I've always liked Star Wars, but I'm actually moving into Star Trek more now. I'm watching all the new stuff, by the way. Okay. I've always liked Star Trek. I've watched the movies, the original movies. Yeah. I've always liked it, but there's a lot of, like, I finished watching Discovery. I'm watching Picard now.
Okay.
Strange New Worlds their third season hasn't started yet, so I'm watching it all. But
do you recommend watching those?
I enjoy them all. Picard, I'm in season 2. It's Picard. It's Jean-Luc Picard. So
yeah,
he's reprising his role as Jean-Luc Picard. They have a few of the original cast.
Does it kind of make the Next Generation clunky? Because that's what I was afraid of. I was afraid it was going to make it clunky.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
but they don't really.
First generation or the Next Generation is like flawless in my head, right? It's like a masterpiece, and then Voyager is a masterpiece of a masterpiece.
So I don't think I've ever watched any of the series. I only watched the movies.
Really? Interesting.
In full. I've never watched any of the series in full until the more recent ones.
We might need to fix this when you come to San Diego.
I need to fix it. Yeah. I'll have time.
At least pick a couple really good episodes and kind of go through.
I'll probably just watch the Next Generation. I know, the Borg and stuff like that. So there is a Borg arc in Picard, the new series. A little bit of a Borg arc, yeah.
Have you ever watched the Orville?
Oh, I haven't finished it. I watched some of it. It's like a spoof of
sort of. I think it starts off thinking it's Family Guy or Star Trek. And then you get through, you kind of need to watch the first season. And I hate people that say you have to watch this and get through it. It's like it just doesn't know where it is. But when second season comes and the show, I guess, ended, and it ended in such, when I say ended, it just like ran out of money, or Disney didn't want to keep paying for it or whatever, somewhere along those lines. But it hits on spots that I think Star Trek used to hit, right? Where it's like they're talking about like transgender stuff. They're talking about like identity, sexual identity. They're talking about like just the things that we are surrounded by now, but in a way of sci-fi, and using that as a vessel to inform us. It's real interesting. Real interesting.
Orville, okay.
The Orville.
Okay.
It's
I'm
not very
Next
funny.
Generation first. That's what I'm gonna watch.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Nice. I really enjoyed The Next Generation.
Okay.
I really enjoy it. Man, you really got me spent. Do you like Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like Lord of the Rings. I like fantasy. I like sci-fi. I like it all.
I think Lord of the Rings is very pretty.
It is. We're talking about
But
the movies?
The movies. I'm talking about the movies.
Oh, yeah.
I never read the books, but maybe that's part of my issue.
I've never read the books too. They're difficult to read.
Yeah. I as much as like high fantasy that I love, Lord of the Rings just seems like I'm walking and there's not much substance.
No, there's a lot of substance. That's the issue, I think. There's too much. There's too much information to take in.
I don't think there is.
What?
Okay, so I think that the Frodo part is like by far the weakest part, because I want to be everywhere else. I want to know about the Human King. I want to know about like the elves. I want to know about all of these things, but I'm stuck with Frodo, who is by far the like most boring person. And then Gandalf has a full arc all by himself. Like he fights and he disappears and he comes back and Gandalf the White. I'm like, wait, what? There's missing parts. And for me, it feels like, I don't know if you watched that new Zack Snyder movie called Rebel Moon.
No, I have not yet. Is it good?
It's pretty.
Interesting. Okay.
It's pretty. And I enjoy the fact that it's pretty. But there's like, he's trying to build this world, but then he's stuck in the most boring part. Like he's building a galaxy and he's stuck in the most boring part that doesn't make any sense. And then there's like characters that you see, and so it's not quite a spoiler, but there's this robot that like defends the king or some shit like that. Pretty interesting character. His design is pretty cool. He like he's end up being more enslaved, and you're like, this is weird. Then at some point things change and he has a full arc, including a design change from the beginning. So you'll see him, he runs off, and at the end of the movie you're like, what happened here? He's like a completely different thing. Like not like he's still the same character, but he has like skulls and some other like a halo, crown, a cape and things, and you're like, what happened? What is going on? It's almost like the algorithm decided to make the movie, but Zack Snyder's like, I can make this pretty, and he made it really pretty. Zack Snyder makes good, like very pretty movies.
Pretty movies, okay, I see.
Right? Like, I don't know if you ever watched the Watchmen movie.
The movie, I've never watched it. I watched some of the series, but I have never.
The series
is very different.
Amazing. Yeah. It's technically like a continuation.
Is it? Okay.
And it's flawless. But if you look at like panels of the comic book and then you look at the movie, it's like shot for shot. There's like shot for shot, and it looks great. It looks exactly the way it's supposed to.
Okay.
But somehow around, he still messed up the story. It's like, just follow the damn comic book. Just follow the comic book. So what makes it more interesting is the show. The show follows the comic book, so it's a continuation of the comic book, not of the movie, because they changed some shit in that movie that doesn't make any sense. Whew, man.
JJ went hard, and I started something.
I am a hardcore.
You like to analyze all the films. I just like watching.
I like to watch.
And then you analyze.
I do analyze. I do.
It's that brain, man. It's that brain. There's so much.
Yeah, that broken brain that I have that just won't let a thread be alone.
This episode was about JJ talking about movies.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with sumo.
Nothing to do with sumo. This, Mengkin, you are amazing. You got me to spin out of control for about 15 minutes of awesomeness.
I don't know if it's this way or spiraling down.
I think it's down the drain. Yeah, it's definitely down. Eventually it's back up, but yeah, that was good.
We escaped it, guys. We got out of here. See you next time.
Bye.
Turn this shit off, bro. I can't rap how everybody else rap, bro. Everybody talking about cars, clothes, chains, and money. That shit corny as fuck, bro. God, I don't want to rap about that corny ass shit.